Today we'll begin our study with estimating sums. So our first thought is, what are we estimating and why are we estimating? Let's use our model questions. You can write down these numbers and just stop the video, put them on paper, and then you can work along with me. So to begin with, we have 387 plus 452. Is it greater than 800, or are the addition of these numbers less than 800? Our first task, and what makes this easiest, is to look at your hundreds digits. So we have 300 and 400. 300 and 400 would be 700. So we see that so far it's less than 800. But now let's check our tens digits. And we see 80 and 50. 80 plus 50 is 130 because this is 8 tens plus 5 tens. So 80 plus 50 is 130. We can easily look at 700 and 130 and see that it is greater than 800. And that was pretty easy. We could just look at those two values, the hundreds and the tens, and see already that the sum will be greater than 800. Let's try another example. The next example is 411 plus 375. Is it greater than or less than 800? Let's work with the same style. We have 400 and 300. That would be 700. And like before, our next job is to evaluate the tens column. We have 110 and 7 tens. 10 and 70 would be 80. The sum of 780 is 780. There's no way possible that we can reach a sum of 800. So for this one, 411 plus 375, it's less than 800. For our final example, and probably you'll just laugh at me and say, Ms. Bree, why didn't we do this first? Let's look at our hundreds column. We have 400 and 400, which would be 800. And we don't even really need to go any farther because we see right away that we will have a number that exceeds 800. We still have 30 and 72 more numbers that we could add together. So this is obviously greater than 800. And in fact, it looks to me, if you have 3 tens and 7 tens, it looks to me like this will be greater than 900 by just a little bit. So that is our first experience with estimating sums. Moving forward with the lesson, your first job, which you should always do when you're working on a new pamphlet, is to read the instructions at the top of the page. They typically go from one page to the next side. So if you haven't already done so, please stop the video and read the top explanation of your pamphlet. So moving down to our guided practice, do the two bags together have more marbles or less marbles than the box can hold? Estimate. Circle more or less. When you see the word estimate, it does not mean to complete the algorithm. It's meant for you to use larger numbers or simpler numbers to make the problem easier for your estimation. we'll use the same technique that we did before. So our target number, this box, will hold 500 marbles. We need to see if this box will hold more or less marbles. Again, we start with the hundreds column, and we have 100 and 300. So 100 and 300 is 400. And I don't use the addition with that because I know that you can do mental math and see that 100 and 300 would be 400. Next, we look at the tens, of course. I know that you were thinking that. We have 8 tens and 7 tens, which the value would be 80 and 70. 80 plus 70 would be 150. You now are in a position to determine whether or not there would be more or less. We have 100 or 400 and 100. That's 500 right there, plus this additional 50. So this number, these two addends of marbles, would be more than the 500 found in the box. And it was quite simple, just looking at the hundreds and the tens. We'll do one more problem together, and then I believe you are completely capable of doing this work on your own. Next, we have one set of marbles and another set of marbles, 293 and 165, these two sets of marbles. Our target number is 400. So again, let's start with the hundreds column. We have 200 and 100. 200 plus 100 would be 300. The next step, as you know, we'll look to the tens. Oh, 9 tens. The value is 90. 6 tens. The value is 60. 90 plus 60 would be 150. Again, 300 and 100 is 400 to begin with. And then we see there's already more than 400 marbles. So we will circle. There are more than the 400 found in this box, or that this box could hold. I think you're completely ready to continue this work. Do not rush, take your time, follow the models, follow the structure that we've determined will make you successful. We're now going to advance to the next lesson, which is 11-4, and that is adding 3-digit numbers. I know this is review for you, but let's work through the steps just to be sure that we do a logical sequencing of our work. You may stop the video and write down our addends, and then we can work through the sums together. Or you can work through the sums and then check your work when you're finished. So to begin, I love these two addends. And why do you think I love these addends? Probably you're saying because at a first glance, Ms. Bree, you see that there is no regrouping. Absolutely no regrouping, so I love it. 6 ones and 1 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. Moving to our tens column, 4 tens plus 2 tens would be 6 tens, or the value of 60. And 100 plus 300 would be 400. We're finished with that first one. 146 plus 321 equals 467. The sum is 467. Let's move to our next example. Right away, I see that I will have regrouping with this problem, but we will worry about that when we get there. First, let's take care of our ones. 4 plus 5 is 9. Now we have 8 tens plus 7 tens, or the values are 80 and 70. So 8 tens plus 7 tens would be 15 tens. Of course, we can't write that in our tens column. So we place 5 of the tens and the other 10 tens, which would equal 100, we regroup. Now we can see 1 plus 1 is 2. So 100 and 100 is 200, plus the 300 of the second addend. That would give us 500. So there are 500s. 184 plus 375 equals 559. The sum is 559. Great. Moving right along to number 3. Looks like a quick course to me. 4 plus 3, 7. 6 tens plus 2 tens would be 8 tens, the value of 80. 200 plus 100 would be 300. No regrouping. We are quick and capable with that number. 264 plus 123 equals 387. Very good. I'm glad we had this simple problem, because looking at number 4, I can already see not so simple. It looks like I'll have regrouping in the ones column, and it looks as though I'll have regrouping in the tens column. But if we work slowly and strategically, we'll be able to accomplish and have a correct answer when we're finished. 7 plus 5 would be 12. Of course, I can't write a 12, so I put my 2 ones and I regroup one of the tens. So now I have 1 10, 7 tens, and 6 tens. Oh, I see some compatible numbers here. I like that look. So in my mind, my mental math, I'm going to say this 110 and 610 would equal 7 tens, and then I would create doubles. 7 plus 7 is 14 tens. Right, my 4 tens, regroup 10 of the tens. So now I have 100, 200, 100. Again, I'm going to look for those compatible friendly numbers. I have a 100 and 100. That would be 200, plus the doubles, 200, would be 400. 277 plus 165 equals 442. Super. Let's continue. Number 5. No regrouping. I see regrouping in the tens, and then of course no regrouping in the hundreds. Let's start. 5 plus 1 is 6. 2 tens plus 9 tens would be 11 tens. Put one of our tens, regroup the other 10 tens, and we're ready to go. 100 plus 100 is 200, plus the 300 would be 500. 125 plus 391 equals 516. Fantastic. Last one together. I see regrouping in the ones column. I see regrouping in the tens column. And of course, no regrouping here in the hundreds. 9 plus 8, 17. Let's put our 7, regroup the 10. And now we'll add our tens. We have 1 10, 8 tens, and 4 tens. 10, 80, and 40. So 8 tens and 4 tens is 12, and one more would be 13 tens. I put 3 of the tens in our tens column, and I regroup the 10 tens, which would be 100, and it's in the hundreds column. Again, I see the doubles. 100 and 100 is 200, plus 200 more would be 400. The sum of 189 plus 248 is 437. I know this is review work for you, so it's your turn. Again, inside the pamphlet, there is an explanation that you should read. Take the time to read the top explanation that goes from one page to the next. And it shows you with some of our tens blocks that you can count. So for today, continue your work. Good job.